Hey there, it's David Duford at davidduford.com, where I help insurance agents like you become top producing insurance professionals. Today we're starting our 5-part series on how to increase your life insurance sales tips. So what we're going to do in these video series is give you five of the best tips that will help you increase your total volume and amount of commissions received on each sale, no matter what kind of life insurance products you sell. And we're going to keep these short and to the point, so let's get started. So the first one we're going to talk about today is working to eliminate suspects faster. So I think it's really important before we go any further to define what I mean by that. First of all, the premise of this video is about time management. And what we have to understand is when you're in a sales call, there's really two types of people you're sitting across a table from. They're either what we call unqualified suspects, or they're what we call qualified prospects. So as you can imagine, a unqualified suspect is somebody who doesn't meet our criteria for buying. They have something that just doesn't match and is no matter how much pressure or how much persuasion we give them, they're just not going to budge because they just don't fit what we need to sell them as far as a criteria to buy. Whereas a qualified buyer is somebody who always, in complete amounts, needs or matches what our criteria for buying is. Now, what I also clarify here is that this is something I would describe as people who are high odds buyers are qualified prospects. People who are low odds buyers are unqualified suspects, because sometimes they still buy and maybe you didn't catch something or they didn't reveal something entirely. But even people who fit all the criteria, even though they have a high chance of buying, sometimes they don't. So I say all this because what your job to do in your sales call, no matter again what kind of life insurance product you're selling, is to quickly as possible determine if the person you're talking to fits your criteria for buying. Why? Because if you spend an excessive amount of your time, the most valuable aspect and thing that you have in your life as a salesperson, as a person in general, if you waste it on somebody who cannot meet the criteria of what it is that you're looking for, then you're wasting time you could spend with qualified buyers. And again, hopefully you're following me here, the more time you spend with qualified buyers, the more sales you make, the more commission on average per hour you make, thus the more profitability that you see as an insurance agent. So how do you do this? Well, you got to define what a prospect is in advance, okay? So what we do by that is crafting specific questions early in the sales call that allow us to determine if the person meets those criteria or not. Now, I'll give you a couple of examples here. Number one, if we're looking at final expense, let's say you're selling final expense, my 5 criteria for buying are need, want, health, bank, and budget. You may have the same criteria. You may have more, you may have less. It just depends on what you're selling. But the point is that if somebody meets all 5 of those, then I know I've got somebody I want to spend time with. If somebody meets only 4 of 5 or less than that, then that is unqualified. Perfect example, if somebody doesn't allow a bank draft and we have a conversation about it and they won't budge, well, I'm not going to continue to present, assuming they can't do a quarterly pay or they can't pay me today for something like that, because I'm wasting my time, okay? And the more time you waste with those people, the more time you waste, the less money you make. And it will start to drive you crazy when you're dealing with unreasonable people that can't budge based on whatever the circumstances are. So bottom line, you got to pre-qualify based on your criteria. Craft in your sales presentation as quickly as possible what are the main questions you've got to ask. Why did you send the card in? What is it that you're looking to accomplish? What is your budget? These are great questions, a small example of what questions you can ask to help qualify these people. Because what you don't want to do is not ask these questions and save them towards the end and handle them as objections. Again, a lot of people think that's what you normally would do. You would just go in and dump a pitch on them and then handle those objections later. No, do the right thing, lower the stress level, make it a low-key sales presentation, and ask these tougher questions up front. The people will respond in kind based on how you ask, and especially the people who really want to buy are going to be more inclined to buy because you're taking time to ask them good questions to understand what matters to them. So while there's not anything necessarily here that actually will enhance your case size and make you more profitable right off the top, what this will do is allow you to shorten your presentations that aren't going to go anywhere and lengthen the time that's spent with real prospects. And from that, if you scale this out, you can run more appointments a day, because you're going to spend less time with unqualified prospects and more with your qualified prospects, and you're going to make more sales because of that. So I hope you like this video. This is something I employ every day in my sales activities as a final expense insurance agent. If you'd like to learn more about joining my agency, whether it's to sell final expense, mortgage protection, Medicare supplements, or annuities, you can go to davidduford.com. You can go from there to click Join David's Agency and see more about the programs that I offer. Make sure you subscribe to this video, like this video, share it with your insurance agent buddies as well, and comment if you got any questions below. My name is David Duford at davidduford.com. We'll see you next time. Take care.